A new conference has been leaked and once again, Hinman's speech is the main point of focus. What will happen? And what interesting details on the SEC did Garlinghouse reveal at the WEF conference? Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. But first, we are giving away 25 XRP coins at the end of the month to one random subscriber to start on their XRP journey. All you need to do is to like the video, subscribe and comment your thoughts on XRP in the comments section. Welcome back XRP Army. Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn has scheduled for a second session to be convened between the United States Securities and Exchange Commission and lawyers for Ripple to discuss additional claims of attorney-client privilege. This conference will take place in order to examine these claims. The discussion will center on private records that are connected to William Hinman, who worked for the SEC in the past and held a high-ranking position. The 7th of June has been chosen as the date for the conference, so be sure to mark that date on your calendars. Because there has been no information provided about how to call in, it would appear that this will be a meeting that is only open to those who are physically present. At the end of the month of April, it was reported by You Today that the Securities and Exchange Commission had made a new move to keep the Hinman emails a secret by claiming that they were protected by attorney-client privilege. This information was released by You Today. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, contends that the privilege is applicable because these documents reflect confidential communications between Hinman and SEC attorneys about the infamous Ethereum speech, in which the former stated that the Ether token was not a security. Do you think this has potential? Let us know in the comment section down below. The agency asserts that Hinman was a client of SEC attorneys who provided him with legal advice regarding the legal status of digital assets to ensure that his speech was consistent with federal securities laws. These attorneys recommended to Hinman that he take the necessary steps to guarantee that his speech complied with the federal securities laws. Since courts have routinely recognized government officials as customers in the past, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is of the opinion that this should also be the case this time around given that previous cases have established this precedent. The SEC's assessment is that the speech drafts cannot be made public because the primary purpose for disclosing them in the first place was to obtain legal guidance. This means that the speech drafts cannot be made public. The judge made the ruling that the SEC was compelled to produce Hinman's correspondence around the middle of the month of January. The request made by the regulator for the judge to review the verdict in regard to the deliberative process privilege was denied by the judge at the beginning of the month of April. The judge stated that the DPP did not offer sufficient protection for the employees' private beliefs that they expressed in their personal time. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, a company that facilitates cross-border payments, presented a presentation during the panel discussion that took place on Monday at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Garlinghouse, who is also a member of the board of directors for the corporation, offered input on a wide number of topics. The most prominent of these topics was the current condition of regulation in the United States in comparison to the nations that are a part of the G20. Do you agree that Ripple is right? If yes, then make sure to like this video. Putting an emphasis on the judicious necessity for regulatory frameworks that serve the integral ideals of clarity and certainty, Garlinghouse expressed his conviction that these things. The overwhelming majority of people working within the crypto industry are good actors that want to do right by regulators. But when the rules of the road aren't clear, it's very difficult to manage within that. Later on in the conversation, Garlinghouse revealed that he personally went to the office of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission 4 or 5 times in the years leading up to their decision to file a lawsuit, stating that there is no justification for legally classifying the asset associated with Ripple known as XRP as a security. He did this to convince the SEC that there is no justification for legally classifying XRP as a security. This revelation came later on in the conversation. After he made the statement that there is no rationale for legally designating the asset as a security, Garlinghouse was the one who divulged this information to the public. It demonstrates how far out of step the United States is with the G20, Garlinghouse claimed, naming Switzerland, Singapore, the United Kingdom, and Japan as countries with regulatory systems that are more suitable for the cultivation of technical innovation. Comment XRP Army if you believe this is a scandal. In addition, there is a significant lot of confidence regarding the price prospects of XRP, and this optimism is present regardless of the outcome of the lawsuit brought forward by the SEC. After witnessing a dramatic decrease that has sustained for more than a year, the price of XRP is beginning to climb. This comes after the price experienced a sharp decline. In contrast to the majority of other cryptocurrencies, the currency used for remittances is taking its own sweet time to climb higher. Ripple, the corporation, appears to be profitable despite the fact that they are engaged in conflict on multiple fronts. The chief executive officer of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, stated in a recent interview with Cointelegraph that the business would be spending $100 million in the carbon trading industry. The interview took place on May 30th. The establishment of these carbon markets is a vital component of the overall endeavor to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. In order to provide further elaboration on this topic, Garlinghouse noted that in contrast to cryptocurrencies, which require a large amount of resources, NFTs do not necessitate such an investment. He continued by stating that in spite of the fact that there is a significant deal of excitement surrounding non-fungible assets in particular regions, the asset class as a whole is still ridiculously inexpensive and underhyped. In the third quarter of 2021, Ripple deposited $250 million into the creator fund they had established. Support for artists, brands, and markets as they study unique use cases for non-fungible tokens on the XRP ledger is going to be provided by the fund in order to fulfill its primary objective. The price of XRP's technical indicators are heading in a favorable direction, which means that a substantial price increase is on the horizon. This is in addition to the fact that Ripple's fundamentals are looking solid, which is a positive indicator in and of itself. Since May 13th, the price of XRP has produced 3 highs that are lower than the previous high and 3 highs that are equal to the previous high. The building of the pattern is accomplished by connecting these swing points with trend lines, which results in the formation of a pattern that is known as a descending triangle. When the distance between the initial swing high and low is added to the point at which the price broke out of its range, in this case, $0.398, a technical pattern emerges that forecasts a decrease of 13% to $0.345. Even though there was a break to the downside in the price of XRP on May 26, it did not fall all the way to its objective, which suggests that this was a fakeout. After that, the trend of Ripple began to shift, and it started climbing back into the pattern it had been following. The price of XRP is currently trading above the hypotenuse of the triangle, and before it starts the next leg up higher, it is likely to retrace lower to $0.398. This action will encourage buyers who have been on the sidelines to enter the market, which will trigger the next wave of the rise and push the price of XRP up to $0.455. It is anticipated that this action will make another effort at breaking through the $0.555 threshold, which will increase the total gain to 40%. Despite the fact that things are looking up not only from a fundamental but also from a technical perspective, the bullish thesis will be invalidated if a 4-hour candlestick closes below $0.371, since this would produce a lower bottom. Because of this new information, the remittance token might fall below $0.302 and lose 18% of its value. Make sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Kindly note that the prices of cryptocurrencies frequently change, so by the time you watch this video, it might have changed to a whole new value. The information provided in this video does not constitute investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and you should not treat any of the content as such. The content in this video is for educational purposes only and hence should not be considered financial advice. Do conduct your due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions.